Hey everyone, it's Bob Crossan. I'm the editorial director for Waterworld and Wastewater Digest. I am joined today by Karine Rougé. She is CEO of Municipal Water for Veolia North America, and we're going to be talking about a new workforce development program that they have created that's trying to solve some of the workforce problems in the water and wastewater industry. So, Karine, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Bob, for having me. And excited to be talking about you with like a very important topic. So,
Yeah, we were talking just before the call about how when I've talked to utilities, this oftentimes is the number one thing keeping them up at night, or it's easily in their top three. So, you guys making some type of resource is actually really powerful. Could you talk a little bit about what this resource is and what your intentions are with it?
yeah, of course. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about its history because it's
Yeah.
kind of interesting in the way it kind of bubbled up. But basically, we announced last week that we were making fully open source and free of access to anybody who's interested, meaning municipal utilities, but also honestly, anybody who wants to enter the water and wastewater workforce. We're making this amazing resource available, which is literally an internet website with the entirety of our operators training. And that's wastewater treatment, collection, but also water distribution and and treatment systems, but also maintenance. And these are the courses that our own employees have been using and trained on for years. We happen to have digitized them during COVID, and
Mm.
then suddenly, and we'll talk about the challenges in a minute, but we thought like, why not give all of that to everybody in the US who's kind of willing to enter that workforce?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you wanted to talk a little bit about the history. That was kind of my follow-up question is like, why was
Yeah.
this created? We talked a little bit already about kind of the influence of utilities knowing that workforce is a big issue. But were there other drivers behind this? It sounds like digitizing this was a big step toward making this something that could be available to people.
I mean, you mentioning this as kind of one of the main issues. I mean, I think we kind of all know that or have a different kind of feel and experience for it. But we are at this unique and historical moment in the industry where we're having both kind of the accumulation of challenges with, aging infrastructure and climate change kind of adding a level of risk on it.
Hmm.
But it's also compounding new regulations, which are really adding the level of sophistication required on water systems. And all of that is happening at a moment where a whole generation is retiring. And we know that you had this kind of huge impulse of the Clean Water Act 50 years ago that kind of pushed and created a whole water and wastewater curriculum. And all of these people who join the workforce then, they are retiring. So what we see concretely, and it's a very kind of local kind of situations, but there are states like New York State, for example, where for some licenses, the average age of the license operators is over 70 years old. And so when we look at that as an industry, it is very kind of difficult because we're going to need, we are going to build more treatment and really upgrade our infrastructure, but we're going to face a big deficit of people at a moment as well where the US is going through a big infrastructure buildup, and that's going to last for the next 10 years. So the people who could enter the industry, mechanics, kind of electrician expertise, they're also going to be kind of looking at, should I go into wind and offshore and kind of other green jobs which are really fueled by what this administration is kind of promoting. So when we looked at that, I mean, for us Veolia, we're having roughly 5,000 people in water and wastewater in the US as a regulated utility, but also as a contract operator. And we're kind of the only private player that is really coast to coast and north to south.
Hmm.
So finding a solution for that potential future shortage, that's a absolute priority for our strategy. Uh, but where it kind of shifted a little bit is, I mentioned the COVID thing and the digitization of all our trainings. We had that resource. And then there was a kind of a clicking moment of saying, well, that resource, we could turn it into a profit for us and make this a competitive advantage. Or we could see this as a way to be a responsible player and really help solve more global challenges. Because in the end, we do need more people in this industry. And if it
Mhm.
serves us, it serves everybody else. So that's kind of, the genesis of that. And the last thing I would say was that was a very important moment for us internally when that idea of like making it free and accessible emerged. I mean, it was a really big kind of moment for me personally to see how much it was obvious for
Mhm.
everyone. So it really told a lot about the sense of purpose that all the teams were kind of really leading with. So that was pretty exciting.
It's such a powerful idea, and I love the thought that you're thinking about it as a rising tide raises all ships type of thing, and this creates a higher
Totally.
floor and more sustainability for the industry at large, which is good for not just the industry but also good for Veolia in the end of the equation too, because if the floor is risen, then everyone's doing a lot better.
That's exactly it. Totally. Yeah.
So what do you see as the future for this program? You've got all these different resources that are now available and everything like that. What does the future look like for this? What are you trying to do to try and bring in some of those new people to use those resources?
But in really tactical terms, so right now all of these classes are can be used for certification in 38 states in the US. So we're going to continue to ensure that all the states are covered. So that's really important, so that we can touch really everyone. Second, we're continuing to update the curriculum. One big example for that is right now we are going to build a real curriculum focused on advanced water treatment to tackle water reuse,
Mm.
because that's going to be, it's very specific skills. Like there's a lot of membrane based operations. So we really want to ensure that we can tackle specifically that real set of skills. And then I think we're going to continue kind of push it as much as, we can, globally across the US, but also very locally, because that kind of digital based strategy, we also pair it with local partnerships with schools and universities where
Oh.
we actually are present as operators. So we right now have partnerships with Rutgers University in New Jersey, with LSU in Louisiana. We're working with Marquette, close to Milwaukee. We're looking at partnerships with, around LA, around water reuse, etc. And that kind of, using that curriculum and give it to schools so that they can really build up really their own kind of, green and environmental like workforce curriculum, but also use it as a way for us to kind of onboard, have interns. Because as you know, for most licenses requirements, you do need the classes, but you also do need experience. So these partnerships with schools allow us to bring people on board on our plans, and so that they have the full package and then they can get these licenses. So we'll definitely continue on that path. But the other thing I would say is that I'm very hopeful that things will emerge that we haven't really planned for in
Mm.
terms of partnership, in terms of ideas of build up, certain parts of the curriculum. And the more we can kind of build up this ecosystem idea with people who want to use that and partner in one way or another, I think that would really be very meaningful for us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really cool idea. I love the idea of the local partners because you make a good point that you can learn all you want, but until you have some experience, sometimes you can't learn enough. So,
Yeah,
being
totally.
able to tie that curriculum online with a local facility that someone can actually go to and learn firsthand with an actual operator who's licensed, that's really, really strong. So, anyway, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time. Where can people learn more about this program? Is there a website that people can go to?
It's very simple. You can go to, academy.veolia.us, and then it's very, you just register, sign in, can get to the classes. Since we announced kind of it publicly, we got hundreds of students, and that just like not even a week ago. We got literally hundreds of students registered. So just make use of the resource. It's there exactly for that. So I hope people can enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, Karine, and we'll chat with you next time.
Thank you very much, Bob.